It's so nice to be able to be getting water out of my rain barrels again. We had half an inch of rain last night, which should have filled them all right up again. I haven't actually looked how much is in there, but they were completely dry for the last several weeks, and I've been watering with the city water off the hose. So although things don't need a water out in the yard with all that rain, I do need to go water in the greenhouse. So I'm gonna fill these up, and then I'm going to fill some buckets and cut some flowers. So come along with me and we'll enjoy some nice quiet time in the garden this morning. Okay, so like I said, I just need to water in here this morning. That's nice because usually I'm dragging buckets of water around all over the yard. My vegetable garden is on drip that's automated, as well as probably about half to 2/3 of my flower pots. But I do have a lot that I hand water still. So it's really nice when Mother Nature does that for me, and even better when she fills up my rain barrels, because I would much prefer to be using the rainwater. A, it's just costs less, and B, I just think it's a healthier water source for the plants. I have no science to back that up. It just seems like the plants do better with it. So let me get my melons and sweet potatoes and potatoes in here watered, and then I can go out and get some flowers picked this morning. It's actually been pretty smoky out lately, and so these pots aren't getting as heated up in here. It's not getting as hot in here. There's not as much sun cover, and so they're not as dry as they normally would be. I did go through last week, I think it was, and I planted a few cabbage seeds in these planters and a little bit of carrots, and I can see the cauliflower is coming up, has sprouted, germinated. I don't see any action with the carrots, but when I'm watering like this, I'm not sure if the seeds are even staying where they're supposed to be, really. So we'll see, but it's nice to have that cauliflower in here. I'm hoping that I'll be able to get it growing and to maturity before it gets too cold in here and shuts down my season. Now I have one little, I don't think you'll even be able to see it in all this mess I have here. I have this guy, Hypowestis, hippo plant, polka dot plant. I took cuttings last fall, took it in the house, kept it all over winter, thought I would plant it out in my pots, and I never did. It's just been hanging out in the greenhouse, and I kind of like it in here. I also have, can't see because I've been moving things around, but I still have these seed trays that I'd put native seeds in and tried to stratify them and get going this year. And these are all the ones that didn't do anything for me, but I've still been trying to keep them watered, keep them in the sunshine, and maybe if they go through another winter or cold season or something, they'll do something. Okay, so that's my watering I had to do for today, so that's awesome. Now I get to go play. My original plan for today was to pick tomatoes so I could do up some salsa, but with all that rain, the tomato flavor is going to be super diluted. So I'm not going to bother with doing that today. I do have tons of tomatoes that have ripened up, and of course the peppers. I think if you've been watching, you've probably seen me picking a bunch of peppers the other day, and I have more I could be picking again. So that's definitely on my list of things to do. But today, since the tomatoes really aren't going to be at peak flavor if I harvest them after all that water they just received, I'll wait till I've had a warmer day, which you can tell is not right now, but we are supposed to warm up a little bit. Then I will go out, I'll pick those tomatoes and I'll get that salsa made. But hopefully they don't crack on the vine while they're sitting there. But I just would rather wait right now, and I'll just keep an eye on them. I have been making, it's been so smoky, I haven't been out in the garden much, so there's probably been less videos. I think I put out one less video this past week, and probably the coming week too, if the smoke forecast is accurate. But it's just too much for me right now. My allergies have been really bad this year, so I just am not able to be out in the garden as much as I'd like to these last few weeks. But I have been taking advantage of that time where I'm in the house, and I've been making some raspberry jam from the raspberries I picked at my parents' farm, and I've pickled some peppers, and I've made some candied jalapenos. I don't know what else I've all gotten done. Canning always seems to take me a while. Does it take you a while, or do you get through a bunch at a time? I don't know, it just seems like I take a long time doing it. And I've been just kept catching up on things in the house that I haven't been doing all summer. My house gets neglected. So now I'm gonna spend a few minutes while it's not smoky this morning and try and get some flowers picked and get a nice bouquet in the house, because if I can't be out in the yard enjoying the flowers, at least I can have some in the house to enjoy. So let's go pick a few flowers and make a bouquet. So I filled up several buckets here of water they just have a little bit of water in the bottoms. And I'm just gonna go around and pick flowers. I'm gonna look first for something that's gonna be kind of more of a focal flower, and then like all those big punchy flowers, and then I usually just work my way down to some more fluffy filler type things and some greenery. So I've found it works well to just kind of have a bucket for each, and then I can not have them all tangled together when I go to do my bouquet. So I have quite a few glads over in this area here that have got some color on them that are looking quite nice, and I think they're ready to go. I have Rudbeckia. I have this one echinacea that's been teasing me forever. I thought it was on the way out a few weeks ago, and it's still hanging in, so we'll see. I might cut it today just because it's been teasing me here. It's looking so pretty. I have more Rudbeckia over here. I have lots of zinnias. I think I have a few cosmos. So those will kind of be my bigger punchy flowers probably. I also have some things over by the greenhouse. You might have noticed some gladiolus, and I have zinnias in the garden. So we'll probably have a little peek through there as well. And we'll just see what we can put together. forgot, I have some beautiful asters. Those, I think they're called Flamingo at Sunset that I grew from seed this year. You've got to check these out. They finally started to bloom. They're just beautiful. So I'll pick them when they're not quite open, and they'll open up and bloom really nice in the bouquet for me. This one here isn't quite showing color, but I accidentally snipped it when I snipped one of the others. So I'll throw it in, but it probably won't open. It'll probably remain like this. I don't see any more open. I cut my first one for a bouquet for my sister-in-law. Oh wait, I see another one. I cut my first one for a bouquet for my sister-in-law last week, and it was so pretty. I was just wondering if they have a smell. They don't. And I was so happy that it opened because it was just the perfect thing to put in her bouquet. So hope she enjoyed it. I do see one more kind of laying on the ground over there, so hopefully I can get a decent cut off of it. There. That'll be all right. I always like to get 3 of something if I can. I think that's a pretty nice selection of some beautiful soft colors that I can use for some bold kind of focal flowers, the big impact flowers in the bouquet. So I'm really happy with this selection. You see, I picked mostly kind of softer tones. There's a little bit of punch with some of these kind of fuchsia, zinnias, and you know, there's a little bit of pop to these glads here, these purple glads. Look at these, they're beautiful. And then a little bit with this bright yellow Prairie Sun Rudbeckia. But for the most part, it's, you know, kind of softer. It'll lend a softer look. I could have picked lots of red flowers and a few oranges, but I was kind of liking this color palette this morning, and so I thought that's what I'd go with. So now these will look nice on their own, but they won't have that same impact as if I put a few kind of fluffier, lighter filler flowers in. So that's what I'm going to look around for. Because of the rain, I think my dianthus is just too sogged down right now. It won't work, but I do think I have cosmos that will work. I think I have some gomphrena that'll kind of give that added light fluffiness to it. And we'll see. I might look if I have any Liatris. I don't know, even though it's a bold kind of flower, I still think it just adds that little extra fluff in there that is needed sometimes. And I'll just go around and just see what kind of things like that I can get. The cosmos might also give me some nice greenery. Some of them aren't flowering, but they have lots of good greenery, so I might go with that. And I'm just gonna go through and kind of see what I can find just to kind of fluff things up, fill in the gaps, and then we'll look for straight up greenery. I have lots of status here, so I'm gonna take some of this. This gomphrena isn't super tall, but we'll do what we can with it. I planted the orange, the QIS orange gomphrena, but I think it kind of got shaded out by that vanidium. It's a huge plant, I didn't realize that. Just how big it would get. So although the flowers I've gotten are really pretty, there's not very many of them. I haven't been able to use them very much. used this red amaranth yet. And although it's called red amaranth, it's kind of a pinky fuchsia color. And I'm wondering if it might, you know, when these get a bit bigger, they can be really bold and be almost like a focal plant at the center. But I'm wondering if I take a couple at this size, if they would work nicely as kind of some fillers on the sides of things. Be nice to get one more. Let's see if I have any more back behind me. I can't remember. No, it doesn't look like there's any more back there. It's okay, we'll use this. So for some greenery, I think I'm gonna go with this anise hyssop. Smells amazing. It does have these little blooms on, but it tends to hold really well in a vase. Gives that nice smell, and it gives that little bit of nice greenery. Has a minty, lemony kind of smell to it. I'm going to take this flower right off. It's really browned, but they do hold better when they've started to flower. I think I have some more back on the other side of these rain barrels, kind of by my clematis, so we'll have a look, but got a good little bucket of them here. So these will look a little bit healthier, but they're not going to have as long of stems, I don't think, because they're in the shade more. Something else that can make for some nice greenery is clematis, if you can find the end of it. And this is a real wild, viney clematis, so it's kind of nice to give it a little haircut once in a while anyways. You have to be careful when you're using clematis because the stems are quite fragile, so I find it best to clip off the side bits here instead of trying to pull them off because they can break the stem if you're not careful. These are all tangled together, but I think I'll be able to find where they begin and end and get them apart here. Okay, I've got a bucket of greenery to go with my filler and all my focals, and I think we've got a good basis for a bouquet now. So I'm gonna let these soak for a little while and then I'll put it together. Okay, so I've let the plants soak for a little while here and just rehydrate a little bit. I had them in the shade. They're in the sun right now. I have the greens actually sitting. They need, I find, more hydration. So they're sitting down right on my feet in the shade still, so they're a little bit cooler. But the temperature is starting to rise out here. And so I just would like to get this done so I get these plants in the house and put somewhere a little bit cooler. There's a bumblebee in the cosmos. I hope you can see it in there. So I'll have to watch these flowers when I bring them in. Make sure I'm not bringing any friends in. I did that one day. I took them all. I'd cut a whole bunch of flowers and I took them and I put them in my basement where it was nice and cool because it was kind of hot that morning. And then I picked them up to take them to arrange them. There was a bee just hanging out, just snoozing. I think it's so cold down in my basement that it was just kind of was nice and cool, and it just kind of hung out, thought it was nighttime again or something, I don't know, and just started hanging out in the flower, snoozing there. So I had to carefully take it outside and brush the bee off. But I want to get these put together, and I thought I'd bring you along for that. So what do I want to start with? I think I'm gonna just start with the glads. Sometimes they're nice to put around the edges, just kind of sticking out, and sometimes they're nice to have up, but I think today we'll go with them kind of centered a little bit. And they definitely have a back and a front, so I try to get them to turn so that the backs are not sticking out and I'll have the fronts in. So we'll see how that goes. Yeah, no, I don't know. Some years I'm really into that kind of big center spike, and some years I'm not, and I just don't feel that this year. So let's see if we can build out kind of something a little fluffier in the middle, and then we'll build around. So this is still going to be spiky, but see how it's softer? And that can be nice. I do think these are going to be fun in with these other flowers here. So let's go with the yellows. Yeah, that's nice. Okay, and then we'll get some of these softer colors. Not these ones. Where's those other? These guys. Softer zinnias in there. Where are you? I don't know if you can hear the birds on if my microphone picks them up, but I'm very happy this morning after all that rain, I guess. So there's where we are right now. Now let's see. Yeah, I like that better. See, when the glads are just kind of off the edge there, it kind of makes them look a little less strict. So let's get something fluffy going here. The status is beautiful. So I had something kind of interesting happen yesterday. I was on a tour of actually the RCMP depot, and I had someone come up to me and say, "I really like your videos." it was something I've never had happen before. It really kind of threw me off. So unfortunately, I just turned bright red. And I said thank you, but I don't even know if it was audible. And I don't know why, but I just found that really embarrassing and just threw me off. So I feel bad I didn't even ask the person. I don't know if they like flower videos, if they like vegetable videos, if they like all the videos. I don't know. I felt really bad after because I didn't really talk to them. I was just so thrown. I've never had that happen before. Or someone has seen me out in public and said something like that. So, but it was nice to hear from someone. I was like, hearing from people in the comments and knowing what they're up to in their gardens and hearing that my videos are making a difference for them. But I don't know, I was completely thrown off by it. So I'm just taking, I guess I didn't strip the leaves off the bottom of the status here, and you do need to do that. Any leaves left in the water line will just make your water go skunky right away. So you need to make sure all of your flowers have leaves removed from the bottom. So there. Okay, let's go in with the rest of these zinnias, and I'm just going to bring them down lower. So even though my stems might be long, I'm going to just bring them lower. And then I'll cut them all to fit the vase I have later. These zinnia, sometimes it's nice to leave a leaf or two at the top of a zinnia, and sometimes they're just going to be clogging up the works. So I usually leave the last set or two on, and then I can just decide as I'm putting them in where they go in the bouquet if I want them left or if I want to remove them. This flower is probably past its prime. I'm going to put it in just kind of underneath everything, just kind of to fill things in. And it might need to come out very shortly, but it'll give me some support to the other flowers, kind of just fill in the underneath look for a little bit of time here. Have you ever been to the RCMP Police Depot? If you're from Canada here, then you probably know that's the training center for our National Police Force. And we have one training center for all of Canada. All the RCMP officers go through the same center to be trained. And it's normally not open to the public, but it's their 150th anniversary this year, and they were doing a few tours for the public. Now, of course, I couldn't take a camera or anything in there, so I can't show it to you, but it was quite interesting. If you ever get the opportunity to do that, I would highly recommend it. We got to see the barracks and the mess halls and some of the spaces that are normally reserved only for the highest ranking members of the force. We saw some of their schooling areas where they get trained. I found it more interesting than I thought I would, to be honest. So I like cosmos because you can kind of take them and they add that movement. And I like to kind of take them and have them sticking out a bit. See that movement? So kind of give that movement. I don't know, I like that in a bouquet. Some years I seem to make my bouquets very formal, stiff. So I'm just tucking this one in behind that aster. Lift it up a bit so it can still have movement. But some years I want a more stiff bouquet that's a little more formal looking. But this year especially, I find I've been going for a more kind of flowy bouquet. I'm not sure about these cosmos, but even if the flowers continue to droop, they haven't had a lot of soaking time, but this foliage will still be nice, and that's more what I had picked some of these for. These couple of yarrow here, and again I'm going to try and find spots to just kind of tuck them so they're sticking up a bit. I don't know how well you see those. And then see if I can line it with a bit more of this status. Status is nice, it makes a good dried flower too. And it'll dry right in your vase. So I have the one set of status that I went around, I put at the top, and now I'm just bringing this much lower and wrapping it around the bottom. Tuck it around the flowers and just fill in those areas. No, I just realized I didn't even use, I have my greenery set down on the ground. That's the problem, and then you don't use it. I have all this nice hyssop here. I want that with that purple. And work a few in if I can. Just trying to find a spot where I can just kind of poke it through. Pull these stems out. So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm just going to find a little spot where I can kind of poke it through, pull it, and just add some greenery to the center. One over here. You can just tuck it in there. And then we'll try and tuck one in on this side. So hopefully you can see how when you have those big bold plants and flowers, they're nice and they make a nice bouquet, but when you start adding in the little fluffy things like the statice and the yarrow, that can just really just kind of give more impact. And then even that greenery, when you don't have that, it's just missing an element yet as well. So I'm actually going to take now, I think, some of this clematis here, wrap it around, and then I have just that little bit of gomphrena, and I actually picked some feverfew, and I'll just work those around the outside edges. They're pretty short. But I think they'll be a nice little bit. So sometimes it's nice to get a really bold leaf and just wrap, like almost like you're wrapping the bouquet in paper, but using a big leaf, like big leaves, like I find peonies can be nice for that, or hostas. Or sometimes I like to just have these really airy, kind of wispy branches. These guys are hooked together, like a little separation. Trouble with working with clematis, it really can get tangled up. Okay. Some of these lower bits off. So I don't know what I was saying there, but so I'm going to take these little bits here and just wrap it around. Now, if I was using a bold leaf, I'd want these little bits inside that bold leaf, but with these wispy kind of clematis, I think it's nice to just kind of have them wrapped around the outer edge there. Hopefully you can see all this. Let's see what I'm doing here. It's getting to be a big bouquet here. Okay. And a little bit of this feverfew. I've never grown this before, but I wanted to give it a try this year, and I just have a couple of stems. I don't have it in my regular cut flower garden, and it got a little more shaded out than I had planned, so. But I think bringing some of that yellow down to the bottom here with that will be nice. Okay, so there it is. So let's get a vase. I picked this one up the other day. The secondhand stores are a great place to get vases. So then I just kind of line up kind of where I want it to sit in the vase. Find what I want the bottom to be. I'll give it a chop, and hopefully that's where the base of most of my flowers wind up. You see those real florists, and they have the big cutters. Wouldn't that be fun to just go snap through your whole bouquet? There. Let's see if it goes in there. That'll be the trick. Does it fit? might go a little bit shorter, but I think it'll work. I love that. I love the motion that the clematis has. It could go just slightly shorter or in a little bit bigger, wider vase so it could spread out a bit, but I think this works. And it'll look really pretty. So I'm really glad that I decided to grab this red amaranth. I really like that color that it brought to the top of the bouquet here, that little pop. I hope that you enjoyed watching this video and seeing how I picked my flowers and how I put the bouquet together. I'm certainly not a professional florist or anything, but I do enjoy doing it and I enjoy sharing it with you. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye.